Community Hotline is made possible with generous support by Gresham Ford, the dealer with a heart. The Contribute to the Community program provides the opportunity for the Gresham Ford team to make a positive impact, serving their customers and helping people across the community. The Outlook, serving the residents of East Multnomah County for more than 100 years. The region's #1 source for information, The Outlook provides readers with intensely local coverage of the issues and people that impact our lives and community. The Mountain Hood Cable Regulatory Commission, advocating on behalf of the public interest on communications policy issues at the local, state, and federal levels.
And by Stamp Connection and BeFit Gyms. A very special thanks to all the sponsors who help make our programming possible.
Hi, I'm Monica Weitzel, the host of Community Hotline. Each week, we shine a light on local nonprofit groups helping to make life better in many different ways. Today, we'll begin talking with the Sunshine Division. They've been helping to feed and clothe those in need since the 1920s and have recently opened a location here in East County. Then we'll talk with My Father's House. This local organization provides shelter to homeless families, not just individuals. The need is great, and we are so grateful to groups like these who work so hard to address that need. Stay tuned to find out how you can help. It's coming up next on Community Hotline. Hi, and welcome to Community Hotline. My name is Monica Weitzel. We're here in Gresham at MetroEast Community Media. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to start out tonight. It's the holiday season. There's a lot of need out there, and we want to talk to a couple organizations that are working to address that need, not only during the holiday season, but all year long. We're going to start out talking with the Sunshine Division, an organization that's iconic here in the Portland area. And here to represent, we have Kyle Camberg. You are the Executive Director. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. So the Sunshine Division goes back years and years, like I said on that intro, back to the 20s, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit, if you would, about the history of the Sunshine Division, and you know, give me a speed dial version here.
Yeah.
We go from the 20s up to today.
So 1923, Portland police officers and this new thing called the police reserves. My understanding is a number of police officers were laid off because of this new invention called the car, which made it, you know, cops didn't have to walk 2 by 2 across the entire city anymore. They had cars, and decided that they wanted to do something around the Christmas holiday. And so in 1923, these new police reserves and police officers took baskets of food out on Christmas Eve in Goose Hollow. And the analogy,
Southwest Portland,
and what I understand from different oral histories, and you know, we've got an old historical book about this, is that the local media sort of dubbed these officers and reserves the Sunshine Boys, and then the name the Sunshine Division stuck because, well, police divisions.
Right.
And kind of like a holiday tradition or a family tradition, after you do something a few years in a row, it just sort of sticks.
And people expect it.
And they expect it, and it expanded in that police precincts always had food, typically in these baskets or boxes, and clothing available that a police officer could take out to someone 24 hours a day. And so that was the 1920s, and the holiday tradition still going on today, and I know we're going to talk about that. So the organization kind of just for 40 years sort of existed like that as something that the police bureau informally did. There was usually a few officers that were sort of assigned to make sure that that ran well.
So they actually ran it themselves.
It was just something they did. It was part of being a police officer in Portland. In the 1960s, and this is where the history starts shifting and getting more to where we are today, the organization got incorporated as a 501c3 charity, volunteer board, small civilian staff, but still an officer being assigned to essentially be like the director, and that was it was sort of this hybrid. It's a charity, but it's very closely tied in with the police bureau,
right? And
completely unique to anything that I'm aware of anywhere, not just in the Northwest, but in the country. You then fast forward to about 10 years ago. Basically the recession. Our board of directors, which again is just civilian volunteers from all walks of life, and kind of in conversation with the police bureau said, really maybe it's time we evolved from the 1920s a little bit. Let's hire an actual paid professional executive director. Let's still have a police officer assigned, but more in a community outreach kind of connector role. And so seven and a half years ago, I got hired. So here we are. So I'm the first civilian to be the executive. I get asked all the time, "Are you a police officer?" No, I'm not. I'm the first civilian executive director.
Have you ever been arrested, though? That's the real question.
I did have to pass a background check, not surprising. And so the organization's kind of evolved over the years, but a few of the constants, one, since the 1920s, emergency food has been available in Portland police precincts. Two, there's always been free food and clothing resources, year-round available through the Sunshine Division. And we still do that holiday food box program. Wow. It's evolved quite a bit from a handful of cops taking baskets of food out to actually this December, about 3,800 rather hearty meals are going to get distributed in the metro area. 2,500 are going to get home delivered, sort of like 1923.
That's amazing.
And then about 1,300 are going to go out to a variety of social service agencies, schools, churches, other law enforcement agencies, and other first responders in the Portland metro area. So it's a pretty awesome tradition.
It is an awesome tradition, and I think the reason it works so well, part of the reason it works so well is that the police are so tied into the community and they see where the need is. I mean, that's a lot of it. And plus now, that's kind of how it started, right? But through the years, you've developed, I'm sure, a lot of partnerships and community, associations where you get referrals from people.
Just the amount of sort of organic, whether it's phone calls or emails or people that are either part of the police bureau or part of the city, one degree removed from the police, that come to us because they have responded to a crime or someone that is a victim. Or they're a school resource officer, or they're a victim's advocate.
Right. In some way they're tied.
In some way they are in the business of responding and helping people that are in crisis. And oftentimes there's issues of poverty that are attached to that. So whether that's getting a child new school clothes or getting a holiday meal to someone, I could give you 29 different examples, but it's this resources that we're providing a tool to people who are already in the business of responding to crisis.
Right.
And that's the unique part of what we do. The other part being our food pantries, which are open, for a wide variety of people across the community.
Well, let me stop you for a minute because we have a couple pictures here,
and
this is obviously a very old picture.
Yeah.
So when you talk about when they started back in the 20s, I don't know what year this would be, but
I believe this is 1950s, and this is on Russell Street, and so this building is actually not there anymore. It was a city building, and not surprisingly, it was a police-owned building, and now it's low-income housing, but that's not far from our main warehouse where we are still to this day.
Look at that.
That's downtown, so that was a police building downtown, not far from Pioneer Place. And obviously they were doing some sort of food collection that day in the giant barrel there, which is very funny. That's like 1930.
So yeah, you can tell by the cars, right?
Yeah, and this one you can see on there up in the left corner. It says Xmas 1945. And so here are police officers taking their baskets of food out, and not that dissimilar from what we're going to do here a week from Saturday.
So really, this is also, let's keep going here.
This is what we call our pack night. So we have two different pack nights, and I like to point out this gentleman in the middle. He's a bit of a celebrity. His name's Bud Lewis. Bud was a police officer who retired in 1963, and the year he retired, he was assigned at Sunshine Division. Bud, since the 1960s, has not missed one of our pack nights, and we do two of them. Oh my
gosh!
And so a quick math on that. That's this will be 56 this time, I think.
Yeah, that's a long.
And this is what we do on a pack night. So this is the end result of one of the
So
pack
just
nights. So
packing all those
we do
boxes.
this 2 different nights, and so Bud's done over 100 pack nights, and he's a bit of slow. It's interesting to think about how many people he's interacted with and touched in his life, either as a police officer, as a volunteer. He was on our board for many decades. He's a donor, and he's 98. He's amazing. So this is our food pantry. And this is just a family that is filling up a grocery cart. And so when someone comes to the actual food pantry, they're going to shop for the food
and I want to
items
talk
they're
a little
looking for.
bit more about that because I think that's a great way to do that. But let me get back to the when police officers go out there, this is an opportunity for them to really connect with the community too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously people have real mixed feelings about the police, depending on their what their association with them has been or what their experience has been. But we want, I think everybody agrees it would be a good thing if there was a good relationship between the community and the police officers. This is a way for them to really show their really human side and
as a person who is just a paid employee of the charity, I don't work for the city and I don't work for the police, but I get to meet dozens of officers and people that are advocates for people that are in real crisis. And I've seen firsthand so many stories of police officers that have responded to, really horrific things that most of us would rather not think about.
And never
and
want to experience
oftentimes
or
there
see,
are, there's families, there's children, there's senior citizens, people that are just, reeling from something that's terrible. And a little bit of food, some clothing, the ability perhaps to take kids shopping for clothes at a Fred Meyer store, from those resources that the Sunshine Division can provide for free, can make a profound impact. And it's, again, I have countless anecdotes. I actually just got a call today. Again, police officer said, there's a particular family that I responded to. They were victims of a crime. They've got 2 school-aged children. What can we do to help them? And he said, what he left out in there is, I'm going to personally do something for them. But he wanted to know what the resources we had. Of course, we have food and clothing. And we have a program called Izzy's Kids, which is better. And most people would say, is that a shop with a cop? And that's what it is. There was a woman named Isabella Hoyt who went by Izzy. And in 1981, she started a fund to fund school clothes shopping for kids, and it's still around today. And so,
and nothing's more important to a kid going to school, the first part of school, than having some
we know that children that
clothes.
are, if you're embarrassed by the clothing you had, you're going to struggle in school if you don't feel like you fit in. And the stigma is associated with that. And so we've got, the best way I explain it, Bill, is we have tools that first responders can help people in addition to the food pantries and things like that. And they're the ones that show up when someone dials 911.
Right, so they see where that need is immediately.
EMTs, firefighters, police, those who come, that's who arrives at your doorstep when there's crisis. And oftentimes there's issues of poverty related to those. And so having emergency food, having emergency clothing, that they can easily, with no red tape, get to these families. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I think it does connect and hopefully leave a lasting positive impression, and, which I think all of us want.
So there's things that happen during the holidays, and I want to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But so during the rest of the year, you're still able to provide food and clothing to people in the community. Yeah. How long does it take somebody when a first responder contacts you and says this family desperately needs something? And it's not just people that are at poverty level. There's people maybe that have had something happen to them, like they were a victim of a crime, or they maybe a fire or something like that. It could be a health
crisis. It could be
it could be any kind of trauma that they needed some help, right?
Yeah. So number one, oftentimes we have officers that are coming directly to the warehouse and essentially getting emergency boxes. We also put emergency food boxes in all the precincts and sort of secure rest stop sites that the police have. And so that's the other thing. Crisis doesn't just happen at at 3 o'clock on Tuesday.
Right.
So if there's a call, great example when we had the crazy snowstorm a couple years ago in December. That was actually one of the nights we were doing the pack night. I'll never forget.
Oh, wow.
But by that weekend, many people who were senior citizens who rely on things like Meals on Wheels and care providers and family members to go grocery shopping and things like that. We had a number of calls from families that said, I can't get to grandma or grandpa or dad, or conversely, that actual individual saying, I understand that the police precincts have food boxes. Can anyone bring that to me? And so if someone calls the non-emergency number, a police officer after hours can get to them. It's usually within 24 hours. I mean, it's obviously their caseload is really high. Sometimes it's them personally coming. And then the other part is just really letting those families know, if you're a family that has children in the household, if you are on Social Security, if you're a senior citizen, if you're a veteran, if you're on disability income or Social Security income, you qualify for free services. Okay. So that's literally hundreds of thousands of people in the Portland area. And so letting those people know that this resource exists, that they don't, if they can physically get to us, they don't have to wait for that emergency food box. So it's providing a variety of services and making sure that families know those tools are there, that they know that they're free, that they know that it's not going to be a judgmental or difficult process to come down there and access that. We saw the picture on the screen earlier of the family with the grocery cart. They're literally going to come down to our food pantries and shop, essentially.
Which is great. So they have some choice of what they get.
Correct.
And where are those pantries located?
So our main warehouse is located in inner North Portland, about a half a mile due north of the Motor Center, near Interstate and Thompson. And that's the same warehouse we've been in since the 70s. And then just last year, we just turned 1 year old in November. We opened a location at 124th and Stark, which is, as we were talking about, right there by the Fabric, which is now not there, the Fabric Depot.
Fabric Depot.
So very close to David Douglas High School.
Right.
And so those two locations both have essentially food pantry and a clothing shopping area. And like I said, families with children, veterans, senior citizens, individuals on either Social Security or disability income, they qualify. It's the free service there, and you just come in, and if you can verify any of those things, then you are eligible.
Yeah,
it's that simple.
I recently took a tour of your Stark Street facility. Todd Thayer gave me a tour. He was very kind to do that, and he said that it's still new enough that there's a lot of people that don't know that that's there, and that it gets a lot of business, but that that we need
each month it keeps picking up. We've seen that it's kind of the analogy of opening a retail store. Of course, we're not selling anything, but it's like having retail, and
word of mouth is getting out there.
Word of mouth and repeat, clients coming back and things like that, and how many thousand people drive up and down Stark Street and see the sign, and other social service providers being aware of it. And so we work with approximately 100. It's primarily other nonprofits, but also, again, first responders, schools, faith-based organizations, to let them know about the existence of it, to allow them to refer the clients they serve, because not everyone focuses on hunger. That's what we really pinpoint. Hunger is our primary emergency food and clothing. That's what we're working on. But in Portland, as you know from your interviews, there's a wide array of social services that are focusing on different aspects, and so we work with a number of agencies to let them know that they can refer those clients to us as well.
And it's great you have a place out in East County now too, because there's the need is growing and growing, and the
demographics have shifted.
Yes, they have.
Yeah, I'm a lifelong Oregonian, and what it was like near the Motor Center or the Memorial Coliseum, as many of us remember.
Yes.
Is vastly different. Many of those neighborhoods are actually very high rent neighborhoods now, and those used to be very family wage neighborhoods, and now many people have obviously been displaced, and so it's changed. The nice part about that location, it has great proximity to downtown as well, which does have a lot of low-income housing. But anyone that's been on Alberta or Mississippi in the last 5 years knows it's changed. It just has.
Even longer than that, I moved to that area many years ago, and that was
even in my 7 years, I've seen profound. I mean, that's just a short snapshot. Just everything from parking to the amount of businesses around there to the type of businesses and
the rent.
I mean, we are right on the Max Lane there, which is nice, and it is centralized, but we made a conscious choice to say, the demographics of the city have shifted. We can do more. We need to do more. Where's the best place to do that? And so it was about a year process of really pinpointing where we wanted to be. And this perfect location for us. 124th and Stark is dead. If you drew the rectangle of 205 to the Gresham border from Milwaukee to the
It's right in the middle.
Almost right in the middle.
Yeah.
So, and it's
there you go.
It's on
Everybody can spoke out from you.
bus lines. Max is not far. It has parking. There's all the things. Our location in North Portland. It's tough because it's industrial down there. It's not as welcoming.
Right.
So it's been a really nice expansion for us.
Good. So before we run out of time, I do want to talk about the things that are happening this time of year. So you have the food boxes, which you're going to be delivering soon, right?
Correct. So Saturday the 22nd, and those lists are full, but it's year 96, and I'm just really proud that we're able to grow it every year. So it's about 2,500 home deliveries by about 500 volunteers. And then about 1,300 of the meals go out, and most of those go outside of Portland. So, and typically with other social service agencies to their clientele. So, for instance, not far from here, Snowcap is one of the groups that we work with. Gladstone Fire Department. I mean, there's a variety of groups. Some of them are nonprofits, some of them are schools and churches. But like I said, about 1,300 go outside of Portland, and then 2,500 get home delivered. Just like back in 1923.
Back in the day, just like back in the day. So you are not funded by any government
No,
money.
we are not. We
okay,
are just,
you get donations, and that's how.
Just like your other nonprofit, or the interview you're going to have later tonight, we have to fundraise just like everyone else. And
so the Winter Wonderland, that is
great segue.
Well, that's one of your fundraisers, correct?
4 years ago, we received a grant to essentially buy the business of the Holiday Light Show at PIR, the Portland International Raceway, for those that don't know, in North Portland. And it's a long time, 20-plus year tradition. And we'd been a charity that was associated with it. We've raised food out there for a long time, but we took it over. And so now we own a light show. And
that's great. And it's really fun.
It's a fun thing. It's a great, I have a 9-year-old. It's perfect, affordable family entertainment, and as we know, it gets a little wet in Oregon in December.
Cold, it's so you can drive through.
It's an $18 ticket at Safeway at the customer service counter, and I challenge anyone to find entertainment. If you can pile 7 people into a minivan,
then they all in for the same.
and drive through for $18. I'm not sure anything else. And it's it's 2 miles of track out there, and all the money goes to Sunshine Division. It's the primary source of funding for our new facility, and it's been a big hit for us, and it's very appropriate for us at the holidays too.
Yes, I think so too. We're just about out of time. So, is there anything else that we should know about?
You brought up that we're while we have this long-standing relationship with the police bureau and they say we're not city funded, we're not federally funded, we rely upon individuals donating their time, thousands of volunteer hours. We rely upon individuals and companies donating and collecting food for us, and individuals funding our mission. We don't exist without the community support, and so we're I always like to say we're kind of lean and mean. We operate out of these older warehouses, and we get a lot done, but it doesn't happen if people don't believe in what we do. I think I mentioned to you, we're a Charity Navigator 4-star charity. 4 stars is their highest rating. We've got that 6 years in a row, and only 6% of charities that they rank have that. So we're very proud of that. We get a lot done with a little, but frankly, it takes the community to believe in what we do, whether that's volunteerism or food collection or cash donations to make it go. So we invite people to be a part of that in some way.
We are out of time, but I'm going to just go out on a limb and take this just a little bit longer. I want you to tell me a story about somebody that was impacted by this.
Yeah.
Can you do that quickly?
We talked about first responders. One of the stories that really touched me and affected me greatly was there was a family. They were actually, this was a couple summers ago. This was in the news. They were a refugee family from Southeast Asia, and one of their children actually drowned right around Labor Day. And it's heartbreaking. And of course, who comes on that call? It's paramedics and police. And they had newly arrived to America in Portland,
looking
just
for their
getting
new life
acclimated.
here.
Dad had got a job, and so they were kind of getting their new life started, and they'd fled religious persecution. And this terrible tragedy happens, and the officers that responded actually came to us the next day and said, we really want to do something. And so not only did they immediately take them food and bring them in for clothes in our facility, but they also used our Izzy's Kids fund for Shop with a Cop. And I mean, that to me is the essence of what Sunshine Division is. It's helping people who've had something happen. And it's not always a horrific tragedy like that. Sometimes it's a loss of a job or an illness or just not being able to make ends meet.
It could be anything.
For nearly 100 years, crisis happens, and we're there to help people with no judgment. and to provide those basics to help them get through a tough time. But that, that story, I literally had a couple police officers in my office, tears flowing the next day, and it felt good to be able to give this family just a tiny bit of peace. And
to let them know that somebody here cares.
Someone cares, and will be there next month too when you need a little more help. So I'm proud to be a part of that, because it's I'm kind of the steward of this nearly 100-year tradition, and the job is to make it better for people. So.
Well, sounds like you're doing a great job.
I appreciate that.
Well, we'll talk to you at your 100-year anniversary.
Yes,
here.
yeah, we'll be back.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it, and you're doing amazing things. And so I imagine if people are interested in volunteering or donating, they can go to your website.
That's right.
And get
it's
the
really
information
easy.
on that.
SunshineDivision.org. All the information is there. And
Thank you very much, and I hope you have a very happy holiday.
You too.
Thank you. Thanks for watching this first segment of Community Hotline. I'm excited that we have nonprofits like this in our community, and we're going to talk with another one here in just a few moments, so don't go away. We'll be right back. Sit tight.
Community Hotline is made possible with generous support by Gresham Ford, the dealer with a heart. The Contribute to the Community program provides the opportunity for the Gresham Ford team to make a positive impact, serving their customers and helping people across the community. The Outlook, serving the residents of East Multnomah County for more than 100 years. The region's #1 source for information, The Outlook provides readers with intensely local coverage of the issues and people that impact our lives and community. The Mountain Hood Cable Regulatory Commission, advocating on behalf of the public interest on communications policy issues at the local, state, and federal levels.
And by Stamp Connection and BeFit Gyms. A very special thanks to all the sponsors who help make our programming possible.
So important for me to have the right to be able to speak what I want to speak and talk about what I want to talk about.
If you start shutting this person up and shutting that person up and shutting this person up, that's not America.
The future is accessible. Everything we do today paves the way for tomorrow.
Como medios comunitarios, tenemos una parte importante en una cultura que está constantemente cambiando.
И нам нужно спросить себя, будет ли сообщение средств массовой информации в будущем одновременными и одноменными?
How do we share our collective resources within and between our communities?
Làm thế nào chúng ta có thể sử dụng công nghệ truyền thông chúng ta muốn làm cho tương lai của chúng ta tốt đẹp hơn?
Izazov za nas je da napravimo budućnost dostupnu za sve.
To start the conversation, join us at MetroEast Community Media. Hi, welcome back to Community Hotline. I'm Monica Weitzel, and we're here in Gresham at MetroEast Community Media. And now we're going to talk with My Father's House, an organization here that helps families in need and has for quite a few years now. I'd like to introduce the Executive Director, Kathy Weiss. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's been a while since you've been on the show.
Yeah, quite a while.
Yeah, so tell us, our viewers, if you would, those who may not be from the area, may not know what you do, about a little bit about why you got started and what your mission is.
Well, wow, takes me way back.
Yeah, how long has it been?
We're just 18 years old.
Okay,
and so
not as long as the Sunshine Division, but you're getting there.
No, I'm not that old yet. Yes, we're about 18 years old, and we started. A coworker and I started My Father's House, and we wanted to build something where families could come and be together, and where the whole community can come together and focus on helping people in poverty, especially extreme poverty, because homelessness is about as poor as you can get.
Yeah. Well,
and so we started out of our church. We were both on staff at a large church here in the area, and we started My Father's House, and then quit our jobs and dove in full time.
Wow.
And Ray ended up going on to pastoring his own church, and I stayed with the shelter.
Wow. So that's been 18 years ago, huh?
Yeah,
that's a long time. So were you a 501c3 right off the bat, or were you just operating under the church for a while there?
We operated under the church for about a year.
Okay.
And then we became our own nonprofit 501c3 and just kind of branched out once we got enough support. So we started, small potatoes, and I still consider us that.
But you've grown immensely, and you have a lot of community support.
We do. We started with just 5 families in a duplex, and the small beginnings.
5 families in a duplex?
In a duplex.
Wow.
And it was very, we learned a lot from that experience, which was great.
Yeah.
And then we went and decided that what we really wanted to do from the very beginning was build a house big enough to hold a lot of families. So the big building was always the plan. So the first 8 years we raised money, did fundraising, supported ourselves, but also put money away until we could finally afford to purchase the land. So we built our big building.
And you have some pictures of that too, don't you?
Yeah.
So maybe we can bring those up while we're talking about them.
Yeah, there's a big building that we built, and it was completed in 2008. And it's the one on the lower right.
On the lower right there. So that's your main.
That's our main building. It holds 28 families and 3 staff people.
And it's a lovely facility.
It really is nice.
Yeah.
It will cost $3.9 million, and we paid cash.
Wow.
So what we did was we built and raised money and built and raised money.
Got a good capital campaign going there, didn't you?
It took us 4 years to build the building. And we've been in it now 10 years.
Wow. So and then the other building, was this in that, is that?
This is part of the shelter, the big shelter building. The other building on the upper left hand, that is our Stepping Stone Apartments, and it's our second chance. It's like transitional housing, what most people would consider transitional housing. And they can stay in, our shelter program is like 4 to 6 months. And then Stepping Stones is a 1-year program.
So people can go from this one to this one.
Yes.
If whatever the circumstances
Usually
are.
it's people that have a lot of property debt or a lot of debt, or they don't have a very good paying job and they need some time to kind of regroup. They might be taking classes to get a better job.
Okay.
And it was going to be just for single moms, but it ended up that there's a lot of dads out there that needed it too.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of success with Stepping Stones.
Good. And I did take a tour of that facility. It was lovely.
It is very beautiful.
It was
and it was built in 2015. This picture is of the bedroom in the big building.
In the big building,
People think that we have a big feeding kitchen in the big building, but we do not. We have individual little studio apartments. And so every family has like a little kitchenette, which I think there's a picture of that too.
Right there.
Which
is nice.
That's the kitchen. You'll notice that there's no oven and there's no dishwasher, and that was on purpose. We want it to be comfortable enough to live in, but not so comfortable they never want to leave.
Oh, that's smart.
So we want to motivate them however we can.
Well, you having a place like this, it's more like a home. I mean, there's a lot of shelters that, God bless them, there's a need for them, but that, you have people just, in beds. I mean, this is having some privacy and
Yeah.
there's not a lot of places where families can go, is there?
There's not. There's a real need to keep families together, and a family can be anything. We've had grandmas raising grandkids. We've had aunts and uncles raising their nieces and nephews.
So you have a loose definition of family because you know that there are all kinds of families.
There are all kinds of families, and we're not going
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, oh yeah. If you are a family unit, then we're going to talk to you about if you need shelter, and that's you want to be all encompassing,
Right.
and you want to meet people for where they're at.
Yeah.
So we are definitely that kind of a shelter, and we're not just a vacation resort. In fact, it's kind of funny because we had a family come in for an interview recently, and he kind of looks around and he looks around everything, and he looks at me and he goes, "Where's the swimming pool?"
Was he serious?
He had been in a motel on and off for so long that he just assumed that this was another motel where he was going to get to have a swimming pool.
Sorry.
So said, nope, this place is all about the work.
Yeah.
So we are a back to work program. So if you are looking for a free ride and not wanting to work, it's probably not going to be the best place for you because we have three purposes. First of all, it's about relationship. We want to build relationship. They become our family. And I think that really is what makes it successful is because we want them to become family. And then we want them to
care about them and you want them to care about you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we want them to have responsibility for their family. We're not taking that away from them. They shop for themselves, they cook for themselves, they get themselves to their appointments, they get their kids in school. We're there to help them if they need help. But if they don't need help, we expect them to do it on their own.
So it's not a handout.
It's not a handout. It's a hand up.
Yeah. And I think that's so much more preferable to do that because that that empowers people and it gives them some dignity and
you don't want to take away their dignity.
No.
We want them to say, look what I did, look what I accomplished.
Yeah.
But you can't have responsibility without accountability.
Right.
But you can't have accountability without relationship. So it's a full circle. So it's full circle. So
the trifecta there, you need them all.
So and it works really well because we build relationships and then we're able to hold them accountable and say, hey, you know what, I thought you said you were going to go apply for 10 jobs this week and you only applied for 2. So we do hold them accountable. And then while they're in their program could be classes. We have and I think we have a picture of that too. We have a high school diploma class. So those that have never gotten their diploma are able to do that.
Of some of the programs you have and this kind of thing. So this is a diploma class.
Right, this was one of our, and they're typically about 5 students or so in a class. And we pay for that.
Oh, that's great. So they got their GED or their diploma or whatever, and they're which is so much better for trying to find a job. It's tough to find a job if you don't have that. 70% of Oregon businesses require a high school diploma. Yeah. So what are you going to do if you don't have one? Your choices for employment are limited.
Yeah, it really is. And we provide childcare whenever there is a class. So
how wonderful!
Whenever there's a class, the kids get to play and interact.
Play in a playground like this, perhaps.
And that's Michael, one of our volunteers, loving the kids. He started when he was 14, volunteering, and now he's in college and he just volunteers in the summers now. Oh, how great! And we miss him. He's a great kid.
And he's part of the family too. Those relationships.
Absolutely.
Right?
And these are some of the girls. These 2 girls actually do a dance class with our kids.
Oh, how fun!
Yeah, so that's kind of a fun. That's kind of a fun thing that we do. We try to keep the kids interacted and give them a childhood.
Yeah.
Life is so hard anyway, and for them to get to have a childhood. And in the summertime, we do all kinds of field trips with the kids. We take them to the zoo. We take them to the park. We take them on nature walks. We do so many things like that, just so they can
so you can be a normal kid and have normal
childhood.
Kid experiences. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, they're very lucky the kids that are, and the families that are part of that program are very lucky to have found you because obviously homelessness is a huge, huge concern, everywhere now, really. To be able to be part of that.
We're just taking a little chunk out of society because we house 41 families.
And that's a lot, though. That's a lot. That's 41 families that could have been out on the street, right?
Yeah.
And not only that, but it's 41 families that are getting back on their feet and learning how to get, I mean, like you talked about accountability. Sometimes you're in a situation like that because of no fault of your own. Sometimes it is because of your own fault. Whatever it is, you be accountable for your portion of it. and whatever you don't have any control of, you need to let go of that.
Right.
But you have somebody to help you find your way out of it.
And it's not just about giving someone a place to live,
Right,
or to
right.
sleep at night. There's a place for those programs, but that's not what we're about.
You're
We're
not an
about-
emergency
we're
shelter.
not.
You're a change your life shelter.
Yeah, good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, because it does seem that way, that there's, you're helping people to
Yeah.
figure a way out of the poverty that they're in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And keeping the families together, because we were talking about there's not a lot of places that take families, especially men. I mean, there's
Yeah.
not a lot of places that will take mom and dad or whoever it is.
Right.
Men. A lot of them take only women.
And sometimes
children.
teenagers become an issue too. So, for instance,
So
right
you
now,
do take. So there's no limit on the
No.
age for the children.
we've even had dependent children that were up to even 20 years old. And
Yeah.
sometimes they have some, autism or something.
Right.
That they need to stay with their mom and dad. And if that's your family makeup, that's the way it is. We had a mother and daughter and grandchildren in the shelter, and their whole plan was grandma would watch the kids so mom could work, and so that was their family unit, and so that's what you work with.
Yeah.
You work with them and say, okay, what are you going to do? How are you going to make your goals? And they make their own goals.
Right.
One of the things that I think is always interesting is when a family comes in and they go, yeah, my goal is, I want to buy a house. And you're like, that's going to be down the road a ways.
Yeah, let's set some more realistic,
Right.
short-term goals.
So
It's good to have a long-term goal like that,
yes.
but there's other stepping stones you have to go through.
We had a gal,
there.
Ellen, and I just adore her. She's just a real sweetheart. And that was her goal. And she goes, I'm doing it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And we have a savings account that they have to put into, and so they can save money for their future.
Right.
And that is mandatory. And about 6 months ago, she called and she said, guess what? I bought a house.
Really?
And
so how long has she been out of the
she's
program?
only been out about a year.
No kidding.
Yeah. So
wow.
I was
so
just
that
like,
long-term goal turned out to be a fairly short-term
she was
goal.
really adamant about
Good for
that.
her.
And I have
What
another.
a great success story.
I know. I love that. And I have another single dad with 2 little ones, and he went through the program, then he went through our Stepping Stones program, and then he got a new job, and he was all excited because he was going to make some good money. And he emailed me, and he said, I had to send you this. And the attachment was a loan approval for him to buy a house.
Oh,
and he goes, I just got to find the right house now because I'm been approved for a loan to buy a house. I'm like,
Doesn't that make you feel so wonderful?
Oh, it does. It's just like, I love to hear those.
Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes the huge success is just keeping a job for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they've never had a job before. They've never had someone that believed in them enough to say, you can do it. So we're big cheerleaders. That's
Good.
one of our big jobs is we get to be a cheerleader. Yeah.
So what are some of the biggest obstacles for families when they're coming? I mean, obviously if they, don't have any work and they're, are these people that are already homeless or threatening to become homeless or what's the situation?
Both.
Yeah.
But mostly they're already homeless.
Yeah.
Nobody says, gee, I want to live in a shelter.
No, I'm
first
sure
they
not.
try living at a hotel or living with friends and couch surfing, we call it.
Yeah.
And they do that for quite a while before they actually get to the point where they're like, okay, we have to apply for the shelter because there's nowhere else to go, nothing to do. So we had a family move in last week, and they have 2 children, 2 and 4, and they had been sleeping in this cold weather in their car for 6 days. And, it's difficult, to see that unfold in front of your eyes. But, you can't help everybody, but you can help those that want to help themselves.
Right.
And so we have to focus on that, and they have to be willing to get a job. We'll say that one of our requirements is that you get a job. And
so do both parents need to get a job or just one, or is it a case by case?
Yeah, it depends on the circumstances. If your kids are in school, and what's mom going to do?
Yeah, because sometimes that childcare is more expensive than more money than you're going to make.
Yeah, and that's a huge hurdle for most families is the childcare.
Yeah.
For single parents and for couples both. But couples have a little bit better chance of making it financially because they can both work.
Right.
And if they do it just right, they can work different shifts and
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but they can make that happen.
Yeah.
So we have really had a wonderful experience this last year because almost everybody has gotten jobs very quickly.
Well, and the economy is good right now.
Yeah,
and there are
the
a lot of jobs out
are
there.
plentiful. The housing is not.
No, you're right. You're right. And for a while, I mean, I don't know, 10 years ago there was no jobs, but there was housing. So flip flop. But you're right. Housing is very expensive and it's hard to find.
That's really hard, and that's kind of why we have stepping stones. We have those apartments, and then about 2 years ago, we purchased the house between us and Powell, which is just a little gray house. So we have a family that lives there as well, and we didn't want somebody else buying that last little piece of property between us and Powell. So we did purchase that, and plan to someday build there as well.
Good. So that's on the agenda for your long-term goals.
My long-term
goal,
my
father's house. Yeah.
But we are definitely all about paying for everything and not having loans.
You don't want to have that big debt hanging over your head.
Don't want to have debts. That's just not a good thing. It's not a good example either.
No, it would kind of go against what you're trying to teach people. So your funding is primarily from donations and maybe grants?
It is. We do a few grants. We have companies and corporations that do fund us as well, and local businesses and churches and individuals. We are not government or county or city funded.
So you don't have to be accountable to them.
I don't. You do have to follow specific laws.
Well, yes.
But, like fair housing laws and so forth. But the good thing is that the good thing is that you have lots of little funders, that give you small donations, and the bad thing is you have lots of little ones.
right.
And not a lot of major
for all
donors.
of them, but yeah.
So we do fundraising all year long. We are doing something that's fun and exciting. And
well, tell me about something you have coming up.
Well, in February 2nd, we have what we call Uncorked. And it is a winter wine event, and it's been in December for years. Yeah. Have you been before?
I have been. I went to one of your fundraisers. Oh gosh, I don't remember how long ago it was, but it was a few years ago. But that's one I've been wanting to go to, and it has never worked out for me time-wise. But this year I've got it on my calendar already. So it's February 22nd.
It's really fun.
Is that right?
It's February 2nd. And our sponsor is Riverview Mink. And it's a fabulous event, and it's very fun, and we have it at Lakeside Gardens.
Okay, yeah,
over on Foster. And this is our 7th year, I believe, and we've done it at a variety of places, but we're going back to Lakeside Gardens because it's close and it's beautiful and it's fun.
It's gorgeous.
And then we have a new event this year that we've never done before, and that's April 6th, and it's our Run for Shelter.
Oh.
And it's actually a run walk. And it's going to be on the back property of Good Shepherd Church. They've allowed us to use their back property in Boring.
Oh, in Boring.
In Boring,
I don't think I've been there. Okay.
I'm sorry. No, it's Good Shepherd. Yeah, Good Shepherd Church. And I'm excited about it. This is our first really family event where the whole family can come, and we'll have like Bling Your Boots kind of competition.
Oh, fun.
And it's
Yeah,
we'll have Bounce
in
House.
April. Yeah, you'll be wanting to wear boots.
Yeah. You have to run in your galoshes.
Galoshes, yeah.
So that's kind of a new event for us. So we're really excited about that. And
good.
We did a golf tournament for 10 years, and this is our first year that we're not going to do it. So that's kind of.
You're going to run instead.
We're going to run instead. We really wanted to have a family event.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
And we have a benefit dinner that you get to come and you get to interact with the residents. They tell their stories. It's very interactive kind of an event and
probably,
very fun.
Emotional too, because people get to hear those personal stories that touch people,
It really is, but it's also really encouraging because you're getting to hear straight from them, and you can ask them questions, and they tell you. And it's a very fun thing. And we don't have an auction or anything that goes with it. It's strictly we ask for donations for that. Nice. And then to wind up the year, we have our hoedown, and our hoedown is in the first weekend in October, and it has been really a lot of fun. In fact, one of our volunteers today said, "Oh, I had so much fun at that hoedown. I don't know what took me so long to go to that because it was just wonderful." We've done that for 3 years, and it's become a favorite.
Oh, good.
I have a cowboy hat. I wear it one day in the whole year, and that's the day I wear my cowboy hat.
It's for your hoedown. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, but the next event is the Uncorked event.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
We'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on the show today. I know that there is a need all year long. It's the holiday season, and I'm hoping people will open their hearts and open their pocketbooks and donate what they can. And also, but keeping in mind that the need is there all year long.
Yes,
and that,
absolutely.
Not only for money, but probably volunteers too.
Yes, volunteers. They're the heartbeat of any organization, and we really value our volunteers. And there's so many things to do. We have a donation center, and where families get food and clothing, and they get it for free, but they make appointments and they get to go and shop. And we have volunteers that we need help there.
Okay,
Child care,
that's something that anybody can do, right? I mean, just about anybody can. If you've got a little extra time, and can get there, then.
I was at a church recently, and they said this lady said, "Well, there's nothing I can do to volunteer. There's just nothing I can do." And I'm like, there actually is. We have a lady in a wheelchair that's a paraplegic, and she comes in, and at first the kids were kind of shy about it, but now they just crawl right up her legs onto her lap, and she will sit there and she will cuddle a kid. Or if a kid's having a hard day, she will let him sit on her lap and play with her little controls on her wheelchair.
I love it. Everybody can do something, right?
Everybody can do something,
Everybody has something to give.
And she will tell you that she's the one who gets.
I have no doubt about it. I have no doubt. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much. And if people want more information, they can go to your website.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we will be seeing you soon, but have a wonderful, happy holiday.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you, too.
Merry Christmas to you. Thanks so much for watching Community Hotline tonight. I hope you feel in the Christmas spirit now and can find a way to be able to help the nonprofits in your community that are doing so much for us. So have a wonderful week, and we'll see you here next time at the same time. Good night.
Community Hotline is made possible with generous support by Gresham Ford, the dealer with a heart. The Contribute to the Community program provides the opportunity for the Gresham Ford team to make a positive impact, serving their customers and helping people across the community. The Outlook, serving the residents of East Multnomah County for more than 100 years. The region's #1 source for information, The Outlook provides readers with intensely local coverage of the issues and people that impact our lives and community. The Mountain Hood Cable Regulatory Commission, advocating on behalf of the public interest on communications policy issues at the local, state, and federal levels.
And by Stamp Connection and BeFit Gyms. A very special thanks to all the sponsors who help make our programming possible.